This is the main page of the Wiley Online Library. The main page has everything that anyone would need to start using the library and to do more research about the library. So what we have here is we have a publication section. We have an ability to browse by subject, which is also right here. We have a section for resources and an About Us section. Here we have our search bar. Underneath it we have publications listed A to Z. Down here we have the typical bottom bar for every website or every database rather. We have another About Us section, Help, Contact Us, advertising, things like that. The browsing section is pretty neat. It's set up as an index. You just have to simply hover over a subject and then you get all of your subheadings, which is really helpful. We also have our resources right here. And then to the right of that, we have some big buttons that people can't miss that are very helpful. So here we have something to train the users of the library. It gives them tips, tutorials, things like that. We'll get into that in a little while. This is a very neat feature now with where technology is. We can get alerts. So we can register for an RSS feed, email alerts, things like that. And so that's pretty neat. So now the Wiley Online Library can alert us when new things are posted, new journal articles, books, protocols, things like that. But I think that we should probably go into the history of the library before we get technical and learn about its features. So the Wiley Library is it's a publishing company. Wiley is a publishing company, and all the information that's published by Wiley gets placed onto the Wiley Online Library. So this started in 1807 by Charles Wiley. He opened a printing shop, and that printing shop that was opened in 1807 grew into a printing, publishing, and book-selling company over time. And over time, from 1807 until today, members of the Wiley family and investors have taken over the Wiley empire, and it's still a growing publisher and library. Mostly back in the 1900s and 1800s, the books that were published were mostly technical, medical, and scientific books, and hence why the Wiley Online Library is very medical and technical based and scientific based. There's also parts of the Wiley Library that are law and art. I don't know how that wound up in there. It's kind of an interesting portion of the library, but it's in there, and there is a lot of information on both of those subjects and a lot of sources to follow through with. So over time, the Wiley family has kept this library going, and it's followed it through again from the 1800s through to modern times. And we've been able to form it into an online library. And so this is something that I don't see ending anytime soon. We're going on a lot of years with this and this library, and it's very helpful, and we should be pretty grateful that we have something like this to refer to when we're doing research and writing. So here we are back on the main page of the Wiley Online Library. Just going to hover over a couple of the different main headings so you can see just how many subheadings there are per heading. Some of these don't have many, and then you go down to a subject like medicine and it has a bunch. I think before we dive into using the search features and the advanced search, I'm going to bring up something that's really helpful. So if we click on Sitemap and look at the bottom, we have search tips. This is really important for a database to have, and I think it's really good that the Wiley has this. So if you're searching and you're not a librarian or have any search background, um, all of the different search options and knowledge that comes with searching is in some cases it's like another language to some people, including myself. There's a ton of things that I've learned so far in this class that are um, ways of searching that I've never used before. And so simple things like stemming and Boolean operators are very foreign to some people. And so I think it's really great that the Wiley has a section with search tips. So starting from the top, we learn about stemming. And if we keep on scrolling down, we get to learn about how users can search for single terms, multiple words, phrases, wildcards. I think it's very neat and important that the Wiley teaches people how to use truncation. There we go, we have it highlighted. Um, and how to use the asterisks to get what they're looking for, and to pull up more results with different spellings, different plural, singular, things like that. I think that's really important. Um, we also are learning how to use hyphenated phrases and logical operators. Um, for the next section of the search help page, we have some information on Boolean operators. That's also very important for people to know about. And then as we keep scrolling down, we get to learn about the different fields that the Wiley lets us search through. There aren't many. We start here with all fields and end down here with references. Again, that's not many fields for such a large library, but it's sort of all that we really need. Um, and then we learn about simple things like date range searching, looking at search results, how to improve our search results. So if we have too many results, the Wiley teaches us how to limit them. If we have too few, it teaches us how to add to the results. So I'm going to scroll back up. We're going to go back to the main page. And let's dive into the search content. So there are two ways to get to the advanced search section of the Wiley. The first one is to simply click on advanced search right here. The second one is to search, to type something in. And so I typed in veterinary doxorubicin. Doxorubicin is a chemotherapy drug, and I'm just looking for how it's used in veterinary medicine. So we have that typed in. We're going to hit go. So the second way to get to the advanced search is this section right here. It just says edit search. So we just click on that, and then we're brought to the advanced search section of the Wiley. This is the area where we can edit what we're searching, search through the different types of fields, and start using Boolean operators. On this page, there's also another search tips tab, so you can either get to that through this link here, or you can scroll down to the bottom like I did and click on sitemap. So here we have veterinary doxorubicin, and we can search through it through publication titles, article titles, author, full text, abstract, author affiliation, keywords, funding agency, ISBN, ISSN, article DOI, and references. So like I said before, that's not a lot of fields, but it's enough. So underneath that, we can also search by date range. We can search within the last 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and then we can go as low as 1 month and 3 months. In addition to that, we can search in between years. So that's very helpful. The advanced search section of the Wiley isn't all that advanced, in my opinion. We can't use command line searching, which I think is something that would really benefit this library after learning about it. There are a lot of facets that can make up an article in a library like this. for instance, with medicine and with any journal, really, um, there are a lot of subjects that you can type in per query. In addition to that, we can search by journal, we can search by year, author, who the article is directed at, all sorts of facets like that. Um, and a lot of times in fields like, say, medicine, sometimes a doctor can approach you and say, um, did you get this information from so and so's article from 1992 or something like that? Or they'll say, did you get this from so and so's article? Or they'll ask what journal you got something from, things like that. And so if we had command line searching, someone can easily go on and type in all of those facets and pull up what they're looking for. Whereas with the Wiley, we don't have that option. We do have the option to add rows, and to keep adding rows to work with Boolean operators. So that narrows things down. And we have the standard 3 and or not. But again, it's not very advanced. It's not as advanced as it could be, considering the type of information that's in this library and how many publications and protocols are in this library. So I'm going to go back to my search results for veterinary doxorubicin. When you type something into the Wiley and search with just a simple search, this is the screen that you get. So every page has 1 through 20 articles, journals, protocols, books, and reference works. They're not sorted in any way. And over onto the right-hand side of the screen, we see that we can look at that there's 2007 journals, 200 books, 31 works of reference, 1 database, and 5 lab protocols. So now I'm going to show everyone what it's like to go back to the main page and use and search the Wiley through the index that's provided. I want to show you what it's like to pull up a book, and what that looks like and how it sorts everything for you, and what it's like to pull up a journal. So we'll go on to medicine and we'll click on, say, dermatology. This is what the main page of every subheading looks like. It's pretty neat. We're provided with still the search bar on the right-hand side. Just a list of 4 books and journals. Some of them have protocols that come up, works of reference. It's just 4 relevant sources of information that are always at the top here. This sidebar is always here. It's really helpful. It's everything for resources for librarians, advertisers, contributors, press, societies. So that always stays up there, which is very good. And underneath it, for each subheading, they each have a special feature section. This is pretty neat. This has new protocols, new events, things like that. This one is pretty outdated. It goes back to 2015. There's nothing posted yet for 2017, but that could just mean that there hasn't been anything published in 2017 that has made it into this special features section. For instance, so wound healing. So maybe nothing new has been published on wound healing. So this is a pretty good section. And this one isn't that detailed. Some of them have a bunch of sources that are from 2017, a bunch of new research articles that are posted there, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and select a journal so everyone can see what it's like when you open the main page of a journal. This one is called Contact Dermatitis, Environmental and Occupational Dermatitis. So this is the name of this journal. And we get some good information about it. We get who it's edited by, the impact factor, the ISSN number. We can get RSS feeds for this journal. That's a really cool feature of the Wiley, is that we can get alerted when a new article is posted, when the new journal is published, something that's interesting, things like that. This is probably my favorite tab in the whole Wiley. You can recommend a certain journal, book, all the other types of literature. You can recommend it to your librarian, and then they can consider buying it. So that's pretty cool that you could send it right to the direct source of who's in charge of putting certain works into your library. So that's fun. Um, you can also search through issues. And then these are just the standard items that you can select. So you can find articles, issues, you can get access. There's a section for contributors. You can also learn about the journal. And so that's important. You're not just given a journal and just the articles and issues that come with it. You can actually learn about the journal, contact them, advertise with them, check out the editorial board, read an overview, things like that. So that's important. So again, this is what it looks like. You get an image of the journal. You can search in this journal over in the search section. You can also search by titles and by citation. And then you can scroll down and see recently published articles. So that's what a journal main page looks like. Now we'll go to a book page. This one is about imported skin diseases. It gives you the editor, when it was published online, the ISBN numbers for print and online. Again, we have that recommend to your librarian tab. We don't have anything else on the left side of the page. It's not as detailed as it is for journals. Everything is on the main page. So about this book is on the main page instead of being on the left-hand side, but we still don't have as much fun information about this particular book as we do per journal. I'm not sure why that is, but so we get a section that's about this book, and then everything is sorted by chapter. So for here, we have the introduction, and then we start with chapter 1, and we go all the way down through chapter 26, and then we have the index. And these are all PDFs. We can also get a summary of each chapter, and we're also given the author of each chapter per book. We can search through the book over here on the right-hand side. We can search through titles, and then we can search for particular words and text in the book. So that's pretty fun. Let's go back to the Wiley Online Library and see if we can find another cool thing for that special features section. So we'll go ahead and click on hematology. Okay, so for hematology on the left-hand side, just to give you guys a better idea of what other special features can be provided. So from conferences, like medical conferences, some of them have highlights from each conference. So that would be something that's like a neat new concept that was presented. And so that'll be highlighted over here, and you can easily access it. So I just went and clicked on ecology for no particular reason, but just so I can pull up a page and show you that there can be a lot of topics per subheading. So right here on the right-hand side, there are a lot of topics for ecology. In addition to the topics, I want to go ahead and click on the sources that they have for librarians. You can click on by these titles, and then we're brought to the librarian section of the Wiley Online Library. And for this section, we're given prices and information about different titles, books, things like that. I just want to pull up something cool that the library provides. They give us an Excel document that tells us all of the journals that the Wiley provides. And so here's that document. And I'm just going to scroll down so you can see how many journals there are. This is a lot of journals, and that's it. So there's about 1,500 journals on this Excel spreadsheet. And so that's something that the Wiley provides us with. They let us look through that and pick out one, and we can buy it and put it in our library. We can also access the bookstore, and we can contact them just to get some help. So the last thing that I want to show the audience is what happens when you click on a specific article. So every article in the Wiley has an abstract, as long as it's not a protocol or something that doesn't need to have an abstract or something composed about it. So per article, you get a publication date, you get the authors, you get to view and save a citation, you get to see what article this has been cross-referenced by, which is an amazing it's an amazing fact that the Wiley provides, because now you can continue your research and see who cited this article, why, and then you can continue your own research and add that into it, because there has to be a pretty good reason why another article would cite this specific article. You can find out funding information. Here are the citation tools. You get some help with citing literature, and you can get citation alerts. In addition to this information, you get a picture of the cover of this particular article. You get to find out the volume, the issue, and what pages it's on. And here's the abstract. And then we go right into the introduction and down through the main article. Some images. Now, at the bottom of every article, something that's different about the Wiley is that we don't have subject headings. I don't think that this is helpful. I think that it would be much more helpful if there were subject headings. Not only because it engages people more, but it also is educational. So if someone typed in something the wrong way, or if there is a better way to phrase a certain term, they can have sort of a form of a thesaurus at the bottom and learn about different vocabulary words to help engage them in search more after obviously looking at that article. I think it's an issue that the Wiley doesn't have subject headings. And I mean, maybe that's because there are so many articles per this database that it's very difficult to do. I don't know the reasoning why there aren't subject headings. We can select this and we can see all the references. What's really helpful about this is that we can easily access them and just simply click on one of these tabs and get this article. That is really helpful, and it saves a lot of time. So besides the references, in my opinion, this is sort of a way to make up for subject headings. So instead of having a list of index terms at the bottom of an article, the Wiley provides users with related content, which is helpful, but I don't think it's as helpful as subject headings. So these are all the related articles that the Wiley recommends per this title. It's not many. It's five. It's 5 articles, whereas if we had subject headings, there would be a large number, and it would be really fun if they were linked subject headings. And then let's take a peek at citing literature. This is just not really relevant to us. So that's what every article on the Wiley looks like. Again, I think the biggest problem with the Wiley is that there aren't a lot of advanced search options. We can't search by line. We can't do a command line search, and we don't have subject headings. So that is your full tour of the Wiley Online Library. This is a great database with thousands and thousands of articles and books and resources for users to look at. I think it's a great database with really advanced information on it, but again, I think there's some ways to advance it a little bit. So I'm going to leave everybody on the special page for librarians. This is my favorite page. Um, the Wiley definitely offers a lot of options for librarians. We can get email alerts for librarians, um, and we can look into all the different databases and back files and things like that. So this is the end of my tutorial for the Wiley Online Library.